my name's Saphi. I'm a beauty content creator, and today I'm talking about investing from scratch. So I don't know a lot, so I've got a lot of questions. If you were explaining investing to someone who has absolutely no idea, how would you explain it?
The quickest way to explain investing is how you build wealth.
Okay.
So investing to many people looks like buying stocks and shares or indexes, which are groups of stocks and shares, with the idea that the money they put into those stocks and shares will grow over time, and in a certain period of time, so be that 5, 10, 15 years, they'll have more in the account than they put in there, and that's growing their wealth.
So if I have never invested before,
Yes.
Where would you say is the best place to get started?
The first thing you want to think about is whether you want to have a stocks and shares ISA or a general investment account, because there's two different accounts you can open when you start to invest. The general investment account is somewhere you can buy stocks and shares, but there is a possibility you could have tax liability on gains and income you receive through investing. However, the stocks and shares ISA, which is where most people start, means that any money you put into that stocks and shares ISA is completely tax-free.
Wow.
So if you make dividend income from your investments or capital gains, which we can talk about, it's not liable for tax. But with your stocks and shares ISA, you can only put up to 20K a year, so per tax year, into your stocks and shares ISA. So that's your first place to start, is choosing which one you want to open. Let's just say you then chose a stocks and shares ISA. You look for a platform like Invest Engine that have low fees and have a really good user experience on not only their website, but also their app, because for most people, that's where they will be doing most of their investing.
You pay tax on one, and that's when you take the money out, obviously, at the end. You then pay tax on whatever you've earned.
You can actually pay tax on stuff that's staying in your account. So for instance,
Right.
So when you have stocks and shares, which by the way, mean the exact same thing. So a stock in Tesla and a share in Tesla, the exact same thing. And let's just say you had a share in Tesla and they paid out what's called a dividend, where they pay out a portion of their profits to the shareholders, and you, by owning a share, are a shareholder. You could be liable to pay tax on that income that they're giving you, and it's called dividend income, but you still retain the share. The other time you make money through stocks and shares is through capital gains, and that's if, let's just use this example, the Tesla example, you sold your Tesla stock after a year for £50 more than you bought it for. That £50 is your gain that you are liable to pay tax on.
Okay.
If it's in a stocks and shares ISA, so all of this investing we're doing is in the stocks and shares ISA, there is no tax you need to pay on either the dividend income or the capital gains.
Okay. Would you say there is an income level or a place where you are comfortable with your outgoings as to when you should start investing? Like, should everyone invest no matter what income level you're on, or is it when you've got more disposable income?
The earlier you can do it, the better. Obviously, a lot of people wait for a period of time, like you're saying. They wait to have an extra £1,000, an extra £2,000 of disposable income before they start investing. And actually, it's time in the market. You need the length of time to build up that compound interest. So money, effectively making money. And I would say the earliest you can do it. So with Invest Engine, you can start with as little as £20 a week or £20 a month. And that is doable for people even on very low income. And it's about starting that small habit. And as you earn more, you can top that up. But yeah, I would say trying to start as early as possible. And cleaning up all your financials is a really important thing to do. But don't forget to start investing as soon as you can.
So is it a pay monthly thing as opposed to you put a chunk of money in and that's it? Like, is it a consistent, usually pay a regular amount every single month?
You can do both. So if you had a lump sum that you wanted to put into investing, you can take that lump sum, put it into your stocks and shares ISA or general account and watch it grow. And in theory, some people will put that money in and just leave it and not do anything with it. But what you can also do is set up automated transfers. So let's say on payday, you have a certain amount that just dumps out of your current account into your investment account, and you can have that steadily growing over time. So it's a mix of both. But the habit I would always like to suggest would be that automation, as opposed to thinking that you're going to have these lump sums and at these points you'll then do it, because often we won't. We'll think, oh yeah, we'll do it later, and then we just don't do it.
Yeah. So how long would you say it takes before you see a return on your investment? How long are you meant to put that money in for?
Oh, do you know what? It's really frustrating, because sometimes what you'll see when people start investing and then they look at their account like a day later and they'll say, I've made money. Okay, let's stop there, because when say, oh, you've made money, you don't realize any gains until you actually sell your stocks and shares.
Right.
So in theory, if you bought a share for one price. So let's imagine that I bought Ferrari stock the day before they announced the Hamilton switchover, where they moved out a Ferrari, I'm losing you, a Ferrari Grand Prix driver basically left, and they brought in Hamilton, and it was great for Ferrari.
Okay.
And if I'd bought the share the day before and then I sold it the day after, that, like, I made a gain, and that only took me a day.
Okay.
But for many people, what we're talking about is this long-term building of wealth, where you're not going to make instant gains overnight unless you are, you know, stock picking effectively.
Okay.
But what you want to do is invest a little bit for a long period of time and try and leave. I think the average rule of thumb is like 5 years plus, to think about leaving it for that to build over time and make sure that you're getting average increase in returns.
Right. So can you take your money out whenever you want?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Obviously, the last thing you want to do is have to take it out in an emergency when the value of your shares and whatever are low, because you don't want to be in that position where your investment has fallen and you're possibly taking out a loss. That's like the worst situation. But in theory, yes, you can take your money out when you want.
What's the risk with investing, or is there any risk? Can you lose money?
Yeah, your capital is at risk when it comes to investing. So yes, you can lose money.
Right.
Obviously, the value of stocks can go up, and everyone feels great about that, but they can also drop.
So you could put a sum of money in, it could dip, and then it could go back up, and then you just decide when you're like, right, I want to take that out or sell it.
Yeah, that is volatility in the market. Markets are volatile in the sense that they can go up, they can come down, and on a daily basis they are going up and down, which is when you see those graphs where it's doing this, that's effectively what's happening. Some days they're up, some days they're down, but the trend, which is what we want to see, is that yes, it does this, but over time it's still going up. And that's the beauty behind investing, is that obviously you can leave your money in there and watch it kind of accumulate over time.
Okay, so what ways could I reduce that risk as much as possible?
So what we're going to talk about here is diversification. So the phrase like not putting all my eggs in one basket very much leans in here. So we are not just going to have all of our investments in one company where we are at huge risk that if that goes well, great, we might get returns, but if it goes badly, all of our eggs are in their basket. And through ETFs, which are exchange traded funds, so groups of stocks and shares, like an index. For instance, you could have the S&P 500 index in your portfolio, but you could also have an ETF that's tracking the top AI companies. There's lots of different groups that you can have to spread your risk.
For someone who's never invested before, and I said to you, how should, like tomorrow I want to start, where would you direct me?
So that's an easy one. With Invest Engine, you've got a great platform, good user experience and low fees, and you can set up a stocks and shares ISA on their platform. So you open the stocks and shares ISA with them. It's just like a few details that you put in, set that up. You're going to have a 20K allowance within that. So it means you can put up to 20K in there per tax year. That obviously does mean that ISA allowance is split amongst other ISAs if you had them, like cash ISAs, lifetime, etc. But let's just imagine you don't have anything else, you just have that. You can put up to 20K a year in. And I would suggest, obviously, if you had an amount you wanted to start with, so you wanted to put in £100 to start with, you could then set up automation. So every single month on the day you know you're going to get paid, it transfers 20, 100, 200, whatever you want into the account. And then you can choose one of two things. You can either stock pick, so you can pick the ETFs that you want and then buy them. It's effectively like buying clothes in a cart and purchasing them. Exactly. You purchase those and they very much then become part of your portfolio and you watch them. Or you can do something called a managed fund where it comes with a slight 0.25% fee, but someone else in the Invest Engine team will be managing that fund for you and picking the stocks and basically doing it all for you, and you don't have to do anything. So if I was doing this myself, I would start with the stocks and shares ISA and start an automation. So start the habit of money coming out every single month and going in. And then when it comes to choosing what you want to buy, have a look through, find things that matter to you, because you can invest in AI-backed companies, or in the S&P 500, you've got like the likes of Lululemon, so like fashion brands that you might be more interested in than investing in ETFs that are about, I don't know, cars, let's say. And once you've picked all of those, you can obviously purchase them and just watch and leave your money to grow over time.
Yeah. So if I were to get someone to do it for me, like you said, does that give me more chance of them picking the right things, or is it still equally as much of a risk as me choosing it myself?
There's no guarantee, but obviously, unlike yourself that has other interests outside of investing, that is their full-time job, is to review it, see what's going on. And the idea being is, for us as humans, we're quite risk averse, especially with our own money. And therefore you see a drop and you might think, right, I'm pulling out. But actually they have the experience that they might not do the exact same thing. And hopefully it will pay off in the future.
Has anything changed in ISAs over the last few years?
Yeah, so specifically multiple ISAs. So before April 6th of 2024, you could only have one of each type of ISA. So if you had a stocks and shares ISA with another platform, it meant you couldn't have one with Invest Engine. Now, that's not the case. So from the 6th of April, from the new tax year, they have changed the rules so you can have more than one type of one ISA, which means, as I said, if you had a stocks and shares ISA with someone else, you can also have a stocks and shares ISA with Invest Engine, which is great because it means you can have more access to different providers.